Welcome to Time Traveling Team, the podcast where we review every episode of Doctor Who right from the very beginning. I'm Paddy.
And I'm Tricia. This week we come to the end of the trial of a Time Lord in the season 23 finale, The Ultimate Foe. As usual, we'll be discussing the Doctor, companions and villains and giving our thoughts on the story as a whole.
As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this story. So in order to join the discussion, you can check us out on our socials at Time Team, that's TIMETAMP, or email us at timetravelingteam@teamproductions.com. So, this is no longer the penultimate, it is the ultimate. So we are going to the ultimate phrase. Right. That was a very long rambling way to get into the story recap.
Off you go.
Thank you. Part 1. The Keeper of the Matrix arrives at the behest of the Inquisitor, who asks the Doctor if he has any more evidence for his defense. The Valiant interrupts her, reminding her of the genocide charge, but she tells him to sit down before returning to the Doctor, who says he has no further evidence. He highlights the distorted and altered evidence presented by the Valiant, and the Inquisitor says that is why she summoned the Keeper. The Keeper says that no one can get into the Matrix without the key of Rassilon, which can only be used by authorized personnel. The Valiant says the Doctor has no proof, to which the Inquisitor agrees. However, the Doctor points out that the Keeper says it is possible for the footage to have been altered. The Inquisitor asks who would want to attack him like that, and the Doctor accuses the Valiant. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, 2 capsules arrive, and a confused Sabalom Glitz and Mel emerge from them. They both reveal that they had no idea where they are, and Mel suggests that they go and look around. Back in the courtroom, the Inquisitor says the only way the Doctor can support his claims is with corroborating witnesses. The Doctor says that any witnesses he could bring are scattered all throughout time and space. Suddenly, Glitz and Mel burst into the room, and the Doctor asks what they are doing there. They reveal that they were summoned to the courtroom, and suddenly the Master appears on the Matrix screen, revealing that he was the one who sent them. He says that he is a copy of the Key of Rassilon and has been observing the trial since the start. He says that he has come forth in the name of justice, but the Doctor says that he can't be trusted. The Valiant hurriedly asks for the trial to be dismissed, but the Inquisitor refuses. The Master says that he has brought the 2 witnesses to help the Doctor, and the Inquisitor says that they can be allowed to speak, ignoring the Valiant's objections. She tells everyone else to be quiet and allows the Doctor to question Glitz and Mel. The Doctor first questions Glitz, who reveals that the Master had hired him to take the secret documents that the Sleepers had taken to Ravalox. He says the documents had all come from the Matrix, as the Sleepers had found a way to break into it. Glitz says that the Time Lords eventually located them and then used a device called a magnetron to pull Earth from its location in space to where the Doctor and Perry encountered it as Ravalox. The Doctor says that the High Council can only make such a decision, and the Master says that they did so to destroy whatever the Sleepers had stolen. The shocked Doctor goes into a tirade, saying that in all his travels he has never encountered a race as monstrous and vile as the Time Lords, commenting that they are even worse than the Daleks. The Inquisitor warns him to try and calm down, but he refuses, saying that if he hadn't gone to Ravalox, then the High Council's crimes would never have been uncovered. The Master reveals that the High Council used that to their advantage, and they ordered the Valiant, whom he momentarily calls the Doctor, to alter the evidence presented at the trial. He says that in return, they would give the Valiant the Doctor's remaining regenerations. The Doctor asks what the Master meant earlier when discussing the Valiant, and the Master reveals that the Valiant is the physical embodiment of the Doctor's darker nature that will come into existence between his 12th and final incarnations. The shocked Doctor says the trial must be stopped, but the Inquisitor says that the main purpose of the trial has not yet finished. The Valiant flees from the room, and the Doctor, Mel and Glitz give chase, but he suddenly disappears in the corridor. The Keeper says that he must have escaped into the Matrix via a hidden entrance, and he opens it for the Doctor. The Doctor brings Glitz with him, but the door closes before Mel can follow, and she is brought back into the courtroom by the Inquisitor. The Doctor appears in an alleyway in Victorian London and looks around for Glitz. He suddenly hears the Valiant's disembodied voice laughing, as well as children singing. He stops by a nearby water barrel, and a pair of hands emerge and try to drown him. Glitz suddenly appears and rushes to the Doctor's aid. The Doctor says he doesn't know if what happened was real or an illusion. A confused Glitz gives the Doctor a message from the Master, which gives the location of the Valiant's hidden lair. The Doctor brings the reluctant Glitz with him, and they arrive at a carnival-esque house. Suddenly, a harpoon hits Glitz in the chest and he falls to the ground. However, his armour keeps him safe, and the Doctor helps him up and says that the Valiant can't focus on him due to Glitz's presence. Glitz says that he wants to leave, but the Doctor says that the Valiant will hunt him down and kill him to protect his base and hide the evidence of his true nature. Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, the Inquisitor questions the Master about the altered evidence. He says that most of the evidence was correct, but he reveals that Perry didn't die and instead was saved by Yrcanos and has since become his queen. The Inquisitor asks why he is helping the Doctor, and the Master reveals that he hopes the Doctor and the Valeyard will kill each other. Also, by exposing the High Council, he will bring about their ruin, as well as that of Gallifrey. Back in the Matrix, the Doctor and Glitz enter an office and are met by a clerk named Popplewick. He asks if they have an appointment and repeatedly asks their names, saying that they can't go any further otherwise. The Doctor grows frustrated with Popplewick's bureaucracy and barges into the next room, where he sees another version of Popplewick. This Popplewick angrily demands that they fill out the proper forms before proceeding to meet the Valeyard. The Doctor agrees to sign away his remaining regenerations, and the Popplewick tells him to go to the waiting room. The Doctor opens the door and suddenly finds himself alone on a windswept beach. Suddenly, hands emerge from the ground that he is standing on, and the Valeyard's voice laughs and taunts him. The Doctor insists that it is an illusion, but he is slowly pulled into the ground, which has become quicksand. Part 2. Glitz arrives and tries to pull the Doctor free, but to no avail. As Glitz mourns the Doctor's seeming death, he is surprised to see him suddenly appear unscathed. The Doctor explains to a confused Glitz that everything around him is an illusion. The Valeyard suddenly appears and tells the Doctor that Glitz is too simple to understand. The Doctor asks why the Valeyard wants him dead, and the Valeyard says that he will never be complete so long as the Doctor, with his morality, exists. He says once the Doctor is dead, he will gain control of the Matrix and be unstoppable. The Valeyard then vanishes, and the Doctor tells Glitz the need to find him. Glitz warns the Doctor that the Valeyard has the edge in this conflict due to his ruthlessness, but the Doctor isn't able to answer as he sees a cloud of deadly nerve gas approaching them. He tells Glitz to run and they take off into the dunes. Back in the courtroom, Mel says they need to help them, but she's stopped by the Keeper. In the Matrix, the Doctor and Glitz manage to escape into a house, which is revealed to be the Master's TARDIS. The Doctor asks why the Master is helping him, and the Master says that he wants the Valeyard eliminated. A confused Glitz says that he thought the Master wanted to kill the Doctor, but the Master says that while he can easily defeat the Doctor as he is, he cannot overcome the distilled darker parts of his personality which the Valeyard represents. He also says that he can't allow the Valeyard to kill the Doctor before he does. He then takes Glitz into another room, turning on a pulsing light as he does so. The light causes the Doctor great pain before rendering him catatonic. The Master then lets his TARDIS outside the Valeyard's lair and tries to lure the Valeyard out by using the Doctor as bait. He shoots at the Valeyard from cover when he appears, but his attacks are blocked by the invisible force field, as the Valeyard says that he couldn't fall for such a weak trick. He then throws exploding quills at the Master and Glitz, forcing them to flee. As they run, the Master abandons Glitz when he suggests that the attacks could be an illusion. Glitz is knocked out by a nearby explosion. Meanwhile, the Doctor begins to wake up as he hears Mel's voice. She appears from an alleyway and tells him to follow her back to the courtroom, saying that until he clears his name, the Time Lords will treat him as a renegade and refuse to help him against the Valeyard. The Doctor acknowledges the logic of this and enters the courtroom. Inside, the Inquisitor says the Doctor owes the court an apology, and he gives it. She then brings up the genocide charge, and Mel says the Doctor proved the evidence was tampered with. The Inquisitor plays the unaltered footage of their defeat of the Vervoids using the chemical bombs, and asks Mel if the Doctor was the one who came up with the plan. Mel says he did, commenting that he saved her and the other passengers on the ship. The Inquisitor declares that he is guilty, but Mel protests the verdict. To her surprise, though, the Doctor solemnly accepts it, telling Mel that they must accept the rule of law, otherwise anarchy will reign supreme. However, the whole sequence is an illusion created by the Valeyard, as the real Mel and Inquisitor watch in the courtroom. Mel says they need to have the Doctor, but again she is ignored. Taking matters into her own hands, she steals the key from the Keeper and rushes into the Matrix. She finds the Doctor being led to the execution, but he tells her to go away. However, the guards in the carriage that he is in disappear, and the Doctor then angrily says to Mel that he ruined his plan. He says that he was going along with the ruse so that he could confront the Valeyard. Mel asks how he knew about the deception, and he says that in the courtroom, the illusionary Mel knew about the Doctor's denial of the genocide charge, but she wasn't there when he actually said it. He then leads Mel back into Popplewick's office. Meanwhile, the Master brings Glitz back to his TARDIS and starts to hypnotize him before ordering him to take the Doctor to the Valeyard. However, Glitz is immune to the attempt, and the Master instead offers to bribe him. Back in Popplewick's office, Mel says that they should get out of the Matrix so they can have a fair fight against the Valeyard, and suggests the Doctor use himself as bait to lure him out. The Doctor says he is not entirely sure he is who the Valeyard is after. He searches through Popowick's office and finds a list of names of all the Time Lords that were in attendance at his trial, but he notices all the names are crossed out. He and Mel then notice that the list is in his handwriting. They are suddenly interrupted by Glitz, leading Popowick into the room at gunpoint. Popowick had discovered Glitz trying to steal the original copies of the plans that he had tried to steal on Ravalox. Reluctantly, Popowick agrees to lead them to the Valeyard. The Doctor and Mel go into the building shown to them by Popowick, who remains outside with Glitz. Once they're alone, Popowick thanks Glitz for delivering the Doctor to him and gives Glitz back the documents. However, the Master appears and forces Glitz back into his TARDIS. Popowick rejoins the Doctor and Mel inside. He says he will go and find the Valeyard, but returns a short while later saying that he couldn't find him. Suddenly the Doctor and Mel grab him and tie him up. The Doctor then pulls off Popowick's face, revealing it to be a mask and that Popowick is actually their Valeyard. Mel then finds a nearby machine and the Doctor says it is a maser, a device that can amplify radiation. The Valeyard reveals it is actually a particle disseminator, capable of destroying everything down to a subatomic level. The Doctor realizes that the list he found earlier is a hit list, and the Valeyard intends to use the Matrix to kill the people on the list. He tells Mel to hurry back to the courtroom and tell them to disconnect the Matrix. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, the Keeper tells the Inquisitor that the High Council has been overthrown in an insurrection. The Master then appears on the screen and says that he will take over the Citadel and the power of the Matrix, and any of those who oppose it will be executed. However, when he attempts to upload the stolen files to the console of his TARDIS, he and Glitz become immobilized. Back in the courtroom, Mel rushes in and tells him to disconnect the Matrix, but the Inquisitor says they need to keep the Keeper to do it, but he is left. Mel then tells everyone to flee from the room. Back in the Matrix, the Doctor manages to create a feedback loop to destroy the maser. However, the Valeyard gets free and attacks the Doctor before attempting to stop the maser from self-destructing. However, he is knocked unconscious by the energy pulse, and the Doctor runs for the Matrix exit. The Doctor then returns to the courtroom to find Mel, the Inquisitor, and the rest of the tribunal safe. The Inquisitor says that the charges against the Doctor have been dropped. She also tells him about Perry, and he gives a thankful sigh. She tells him about the recent insurrection, which has been quashed, and asks him to reclaim his role as Lord President. Instead, he says that the Inquisitor should take the role and requests that she show leniency to Glitz. The Doctor and Mel then go back into the TARDIS, with Mel saying that it's time for him to go back exercising. After they leave, the Inquisitor tells the returning Keeper to begin repairing the damaged Matrix. The Keeper says that he will get started, but unbeknownst to her, he is actually the Valeyard, who gives a sinister laugh. End of the story. So, the final trivia of the final part of the Trial of a Time Lord. What do you got for us?
Cool. So the air date is the 29th of November to the 6th of December 1986. We have 3 writers to the story in 2 parts. So Bob Holmes wrote part 13 overall, so part 1 for us in the context of today. And Pip and Jane Baker wrote the second part. This is the final story for Bob, as I have sort of mentioned a little bit in previous episodes. Originally, he was meant to have written both episodes, but he was taken ill and passed away before he could do so. Eric Soward finished the second episode from Holmes's notes with the original plan to end the story and the 23rd season on a cliffhanger, leaving the battle between the Doctor and the Valeyard unresolved was rejected by Jonathan Turner. This led to a falling out between Eric and Jonathan Turner, which we've discussed in previous episodes, and Eric resigned as the script editor. At that point, John commissioned Pip and Jane Baker to complete the episode. The director of the story is Chris Clough, whose name I'm still going to pronounce wrong. This is story 2 of 6 for Chris. His other story was The Terror of the Pervoids, which you just mentioned, and we'll see his work again in Delta and the Bannerman, Dragonfire, The Happiness Patrol, and Silver Nemesis. This story was also known as Time Inc., and at one point it was called The Fantasy Factory, obviously after the thing in the Matrix. The last episode is the last episode of the original run of Doctor Who to air in the Saturday time slot. So I'm sure we'll get more into that when we go into next season and beyond. A brief clip of Perry is seen towards the story's conclusion, when it's revealed that she did not die, but she had escaped, which I sort of pseudo-referred to in previous episodes, to become the consort of King Icarnos. According to the commentary by Colin Baker on the DVD, it was the result of him idly asking the production team if Perry had really died, because he wasn't quite sure, coupled with the negative reaction that they saw to the character's apparent death. In the same commentary, though, Nicola Bryant said that she wasn't a big fan of it. Her quote is, "I was very happy with my original exit, that is to say, I love the shaped head, the mind transplant, and Icarnos blowing my body to smithereens. It was dramatic, poignant, and shocking. So, of course, I hated it when they retconned, I'm told this is the word, my exit." So, I mean, we'll talk later on maybe about how we feel about it, but I can understand Nicola kind of being like, "Oh, I went out in a really cool way," and then you undid it.
Yeah.
There's continues to be a number of lasts. This is the last on-screen appearance of the Time Lords as a civilization for 23 years. Obviously, the New Who, as we call it, has mention of them, so we'll leave it till then to discuss what that meant. It also is the final on-screen reference to the Sontarans until their eventual return in the revived series. It's the final use of the Starfield-based title sequence designed by Sid Sutton and of the sort of neon tubing logo. As the last time we see the Doctor's face included in the closing credit sequence until the Day of the Doctor, roughly 27 years later. The first edit of the last episode ran to about 38 minutes, which is long for a Doctor Who episode. Jonathan Turner managed to get permission to extend the runtime to 30 minutes, but they still had to make up the other 8 minutes by cutting out large amounts of material, most of it featuring the Master and Glitz. We talked about whether there was changes to the original concept of the stories. So in Bob and Eric's original conception, the first episode revealed that the Valyard was in fact the Doctor's final incarnation. The finale would then open with the Master saving the Doctor from the quicksand while the Valyard kidnapped Glitz. The Doctor would encounter Popplewick again, who would lead him into a trap baited with an illusionary Mel. Popplewick too was revealed to be as a construct of J.J. Chambers, as we saw, who in turn was vast as the Valyards. That bit stayed the same. While news reached the courtroom of the High Council's mass resignation, the Master warned the Valyard had materialised his TARDIS around a time vent in the Matrix. If the vent were to be open for too long, there would be catastrophic reactions for the space-time continuum. The Valyard, shown to be a pitiable old man afraid of dying, planned to use this threat to force the Time Lords to grant him the Doctor's remaining regenerations. The Master revealed that he was hired by the High Council to murder the Doctor in exchange for a pardon, but had now decided not to follow through. The Doctor blocked his way into the Valyard's TARDIS just as the Valyard opened the time vent door. Struggling, the Doctor and the Valyard plunged into the time vent while the Master had Glitz seal the door, saving the universe but trapping the Doctor for all eternity. Bit of a different story. Also in the original script, the Doctor would have encountered Ben Cray, the assistant to J.J. Chambers at the Fantasy Factory, who was aware of and commented on his artificial nature. He would then encounter the Duke of Clarence and James Kent Stephen, who accused him of being Jack the Ripper. In reality, both of these men are candidates for the real Jack the Ripper. And in the cliffhanger, the Duke would throw the Doctor off a wharf where he would apparently drown. So, multiple different options there compared to what we saw. We can see later on if you or I would have preferred one of those options instead of what we had. The quicksand scene was quite tricky. There was a 4-foot pit that was below a rubber sheet and water. And then climbing up from the pit scene was filmed backwards. And Colin had to say the bad joke backwards. It was done 3 times, so 3 costumes were required because obviously every time his costume got destroyed. The beach hut which the crew had arranged to use as the Master's TARDIS was situated at the Rye Harbour Nature Reserve near Rye. The casting crew arrived to find the hut locked tight, and the key that they had been provided with did not work. After obtaining permission from the Harbour Authority, Chris Clough had no other option than to just break in. They later learned the Harbour Authority had actually sold the hut shortly before the shoot, provoking an unhappy response from the actual owner and a hasty response from the BBC. They also did a lot of filming in Gladstone Pottery Museum, and on the last day, smoke from the Valliards' exploding quills set off the museum's alarm, prompting the arrival of the local fire brigade. A couple of things just in terms of the story that we saw. Pip and Jane Baker had hoped to destroy the courtroom set because they hated writing scenes for it. They just wanted to blow it up. An interesting observation is that Eric Soward really disliked Mel as a character. So when fleshing out Bob Holmes' incomplete draft of part 1, he made sure to minimise Mel's role in the plot and had Glitz effectively act as the Doctor's companion during his journey into the Matrix. As soon as Pip and Jane took over writing for part 2, they revealed that Glitz is a villain and they put Mel back in her traditional role. So something I knew but didn't know, as in I knew but I forgot until I wrote this, and then I went, is that this is Colin's last appearance as the Doctor in the classic run. I knew this, I knew this, and then I forgot this until I literally read this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Colin was fired by the BBC, which is different to a lot of the other actors whose contracts naturally came to an end or who chose to leave themselves. He was invited back to do a final 4-part story, which would have ended in his regeneration, but he declined to take on that offer as he didn't want to miss out on finding other work in the meantime. Because obviously having to wait for the next season to start and then just go back in for 4 episodes may have delayed him in what he would be doing. He did offer to do the whole of season 24 and have the Doctor regenerate at the end, making his run be more comparable to other Doctor Who actors, so 3 seasons or so. But this was rejected. The serial intended to be his finale was consequently rewritten to be Sylvester's debut story. Ironically, Colin recorded a final 4-part audio story 29 years later in 2015 with Big Finish, after being approached and asked to do so in the anthology The Sixth Doctor, The Last Adventure. He would later express regret for not filming the 4 episodes, claiming that he was being selfish and not thinking about the fans. Despite the turbulent production, though, Colin described the serial as a personal favourite of his, stating that it was the kind of story he'd always wanted as the Doctor. His only major complaint, other than the fact that he was fired, and maybe because of the fact that he was fired, was that his last words as the Doctor on TV at that point, obviously, spoiler, we do see him later, were carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice. It's not the most exciting end for the Doctor to go out on. In terms of our cast, we have a lot of returning actors. So the Valliard is Michael Jaston, the Inquisitor is Linda Bellingham, and the Master is Anthony Ainley. Those are 3 recurring characters from multiple episodes. We also have Tony Selby back as Glitz. This is the second of 3 appearances for Tony. We previously saw him in The Mysterious Planet, and we'll see him once more again later on in Dragonfire. And then as our sort of main guest actor, as in new character for the story, as Popplewick, we have Geoffrey Hughes. This is Geoffrey's only Doctor Who acting credit. Most people of our generation, I think, would know him as Onslow, Hyacinth Bouquet's slovenly brother-in-law on the BBC sitcom Keeping Up Appearances. And I will say that this is actually sadly quite timely because Hyacinth herself recently passed away. He was also known for playing the equally slovenly Eddie Yates in Coronation Street. And he provided the voice of Paul McCartney in the Beatles film Yellow Submarine, which I didn't know. Geoffrey himself passed away in 2012. So, we have done our usual story summary and our trivia notes. Now it's time for us to get on to the meat and potatoes, as it were, of this podcast, which is our character discussion. For those of you who are new, this is a very weird episode to start listening to, but besides the point. For those of you who are new, the way this works is me and Paddy discuss the characters of the story because we think that Doctor Who is all about character. So we have the Doctor, we have companions of, are we saying Mel and Glitz?
Yeah, I'd go Mel and Glitz.
Yeah, we'll talk about Glitz and why we think that he goes there. Prominent characters. You had included Popelwick in your
just for the trip.
No, I don't know if that was okay. Okay, go.
Yeah.
In that case, for prominent character, I think we just have the Inquisitor.
Yep.
I think she moves from villain to prominent character in this one. And then we have the villains of the Valiant. And actually, would you put the Master as a villain or as a prominent character?
A villain.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, would I put Tony Ainley in as a prominent character or a villain? I don't know. He's leaning towards villain territory at the moment.
Okay, and the way this normally works is whoever reads the trivia doesn't go first. No, the way it works is whoever reads the socials is the person who goes first. We brought this in a while back when we'd forget which one of us had gone first. So, Paddington, as you did the socials, my friend, can you please tell me your thoughts on the Doctor in this final 2-part story, please? Thank you.
Well, indeed. One of Colin's strongest aspects as playing the Doctor is his ability to give a good speech. And his rant against the Time Lords is not just one of his best speeches, but I think it's one of the best Doctor speeches in general. Like, that's the one that's used an awful lot in promos of the whole thing. In all my travels, I've encountered, like, power mad conspirators, monsters throughout the universe, but, like, I've never encountered anything as monstrous as the Time Lords. Like, he's, like, basically completely going against his own society and echoing why he left in the first place, which is great. So, if that's all that he was in this story, I'd say, good, fair enough. I'm glad that Colin has a strong performance on his way out, because I think this is a strong performance from the Doctor here. Like, we see a lot of the stuff that we love about him, like not being afraid to go toe to toe with a powerful villain, and like, I love seeing his interactions with Mel. It's actually, I like his partnership with Glitz as well. Dick move by Eric Soward for what he did, but at least it gave us the relationship between the Doctor and Glitz that we had previously seen in Mysterious Planet. So I like that. I loved the Doctor immediately knowing, like, we the audience know that there's something very fucking sus about the way that the fake Mel appears, but the Doctor pretty much cottons on as well. And like, he does the whole Tale of Two Cities, like, it is a far, far better thing than I've ever done. Like, he's really playing it up. And then when Mel, like, comes in to rescue him, it's like that typical, for fuck's sake, why did you have to ruin it? I had them all in the palm of my hand. I also liked, now I don't know if you read it the same way as I did, but at the very end, the Doctor, and I'll say it probably later on as well, when the Inquisitor says, like, oh, will you be Lord President again? And he's like, if anyone's suitable for the role, I think it's you. I think that's an absolute fucking dirty dig against her, because basically, having said all the shit he said about the High Council of the Time Lords, who better to fucking run it than someone as shit as the Inquisitor?
I read that the same way.
All right, cool. I loved his bit where they explained that Perry survived. Like, you just see, like, the relief in his face. And it's like, good. Like, I'm glad that he has that win. Like, it's sad that he didn't get to say goodbye to her, but it's reminiscent of, Bill, silly old fusspots. I shall miss them. It's very reminiscent of that, I think. So I liked in that aspect of it. So I think now that we've gone through the entire run, and we'll obviously have our rambling about him soon, like, Colin just really cemented himself as one of my favorite doctors. And he, no matter the material, and I can see why he would say that this is one of his favorite stories, because I think he's represented well. He does a good job in it. He has some really good interactions, and his kind of there's one thing that I like, one part of which I quite liked was like that Glitz had said, "You can't beat him because you don't have that killer edge that he does," something to that effect. And the doctor doesn't really care, because it's one of those things. I know what I'm like, and I know how smart I am, so I'm up for the challenge. And yeah, so I think Colin just carries himself with this great presence that is hugely. It is this amalgamation of all the previous incarnations, and I think. Sorry to beat a dead horse for people that has listened to this before. I think he vastly did that better than Peter did in his tenure. So yeah, I am very sad that this is the end of his run. I think I will definitely. I've listened to, I think, one or two Big Finish stuff with him, but I will definitely be going out to get more Big Finish, because we'll do the official ranking once we do the rambling. But Colin is definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Cool. So I was devastated when I realised what I had forgotten about this story.
Mm-hmm.
That it was Colin's last. I don't know, I had in my head he had one more season. I don't know why, and it just completely did not click. And it makes me very sad, because I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think Colin, from almost the jump, really defined himself as the Doctor. He did so well, and he brought in so much of the aspects that we liked from previous incarnations of the Doctor, which I thought was really cool. In these two episodes in particular, I think he got to have a lot of those quintessential Doctor moments. He got to have the witty repartee, he got to have the condemning speech, he got to do a little bit of tech in the tech, kind of, with the thing inside the Matrix. He got to show how intelligent he was, but he also got to do the whole, like, oh, this isn't real, but that gas fucking is. Shit! You know? Like, which doesn't make any sense at this point. He got to do all the good things. I do like his dynamic with Glitz. We'll talk more about Glitz later on, but I do like their dynamic together, because the Doctor sees him and accepts him for what he is. And the fact that at the end he's like, go easy on him. You know?
Yeah.
He's grand, like. So I mean, he knows what Glitz is and he knows what Glitz isn't, I think is the important thing. And I think the dynamic of the two of them worked really, really well. Well, I totally think Eric is a fucking dickhead for, wanting to sideline Mel, who'd only just been fucking introduced in the previous episode. I think Glitz is an interesting character to bring in, because he has his own unique way of seeing it. And that pairs very well with the Doctor. I'll talk more about that when we get to Glitz. I liked the way the Doctor was with Mel in the few scenes that they did have together. I thought that was very well. I completely agree with you that his speech condemning Time Lord Society was brilliant. It's the type of speech we would have seen Tom give. It's the type of speech we would have seen John give. And it's the type of speech that we would have seen the likes of, maybe not Chris to some extent. It's kind of hard to tell because we didn't see Chris or Time Lords, but like, I can see David making that speech, I can see Matt making that speech, I can see Peter making that speech. Jodie maybe not, but it's because her Doctor was a little bit different and that wasn't her vibe. And neither with Shooty, that just wasn't their vibe. But I can see those middle batch of Doctors all doing that speech, and yes, I'm leaving Peter out on purpose.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. Good.
Just really quickly there. There's a thing that's happened a few times at fan conventions where they actually ask Colin to do Matt Smith's Rings of Akaton speech. You know, where he's like talking to the god entity, and like Colin does it. It's so good. So
I also completely agree. I completely saw his thing with your one the exact same. I love that Mel didn't get it though, and Mel just saw it as the doctor was setting up someone else to do something. I'm like, oh, Petal,
yeah.
you haven't been here for all of this. It was horrendous. So I think that was great. What makes me sad, though, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more when we get to our overall thoughts on the story and on the extended story as a whole, and we'll talk about in our rambling, is I think Colin deserved better. He deserved a better exit. He deserved a better story. He deserved a better season. Because his performance throughout, and particularly this episode, was brilliant. And I haven't quite figured out where he is in my ranking just yet. I'm going to wait until we do the rambling and have a bit of a think on it. But of the ones that we've seen, he's definitely up there. And like, I look at him and he is the doctor. And in this episode, it really shone that that's who he is and what he is. But yeah, I was devastated when I realised that this was the end of it. And then, of course, you asked me today which version of the Doctor did Colin Baker play.
Yeah. Right. It was just pure coincidence. That's all it was. Just pure coincidence. I ran a quiz in work today. Trish took part in it. A person was asked the question. They didn't know. They had the option to pass. It landed to Trish, and rules is rules. She had to answer.
Trish tried not to answer. I would like to point it out. I tried to pass it to someone else. I didn't think it was fair.
Yeah.
Now, I could say I could have answered it wrong on purpose, but I fucking refused to do that.
Yeah, exactly. You have integrity. But no, I agree with your thing in the sense of Colin deserved better because, like, Colin had so much against him throughout his entire run. He had the poor public reception from Twin Dilemma because you had the characterization of the Doctor in the Twin Dilemma, and then you had the gap between that and the next season. So you had people sitting on that and stewing on that for months without a follow-on to see the advantage that nearly every other Doctor had. Like, the only other person that was in a similar circumstance was actually, well, no, even he wasn't. Sorry, I was going to say that the only other Doctor who was in a similar circumstance was Troughton, but Bill regenerated.
They gave him a good intro, though.
But no, he regenerated at this, like, so it was his season. So it was season 4. So, like, yeah, as opposed to season finale, new Doctor, whatever, you know. You also had, was it, like, I think, didn't we say in previous trivia that Eric Soward didn't like the fact that he was cast? And then you had John Nathan Turner, like, having writers make jokes about Colin's weight gain between seasons. And you also had, the BBC executive Michael Grade that hated the show and hated Colin by association. So he had an awful lot of shit against him. And to turn out the performance that he did, and as I've said, like, repeatedly, he had every single right to turn his back on this franchise and turn his back on everything. But he is one of the most staunch advocates for the show and anyone that is involved in that show, and it is great to see.
Yeah, like, it's interesting that I've met Colin twice. Yes, I've met him twice. Without having seen his stories, but he was there. And he is the most charming, welcoming, supportive. He is the person that you want to meet at a convention. You know, himself and Sylvester as well. The two of them are a very good duo because they often bounce off each other, and then you got the fucking grump in the corner. But you're right. He could have walked away from the whole thing and gone, "Fuck you all. You treated me like shit. You said you didn't like me. You ranked me the lowest." But it means so much to him. And I think the resurgence of interest, like in the time of DVDs and in the time of like BBC iPlayer and, you know, the opportunity to return in certain things and stuff like that, I think he's loving it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because he deserved it because he was brilliant at it, you know. But we can save more of that when we get to the rambling.
Yeah, exactly.
This is only a 2-part episode, and
Yeah.
funny thing, it's going to go on for quite long. So let's move on to our companions. So do you want to do our story-based companion or our? I have a quite interesting thing about Mel. I guess we talked about it, but do you want to do Glitz or do you want to do Mel?
We'll do Mel first because I think there's less to say about Mel than there is Glitz.
Mm.
So, from the little bit that we see of her, I think we've seen a continuation of the character that was presented to us in Terror of the Vervoids. She is fiercely loyal to the Doctor. Again, I really want to find the media where they first meet because to see their adventure lead up to Terror of the Vervoids, because I thought she was brought in from the start of her timeline. So this would have been her earlier, like her first interaction with the Doctor. I completely forgot that. No, she's brought from post Vervoids to this. So like, she's fiercely loyal and she's fiercely protective of him. She takes no shit from anybody. Like, there's the bit where she tries to say we need to help the Doctor, and then the fucking timekeeper goes, "Oh, you're trying to bring logic into an illogical situation." Like, going, "Oh, you fuck off." And then he trips her
then he trips her.
Like a 5-year-old. And then but she just eventually goes, "Do what? Fuck this," and she pushes him. Granted, it's like she's pushing over an old man, but fuck it, she just pushes him, takes the key, and fucking runs in. But she's very ingenious and she's very crafty in the sense of like, look, we both know that the Valiard wants to get you, so how about, we use you as bait? Like, she's coming up with ideas, she's involved, she's helping, trying to solve the issue. She's not this perception of the late 80s characters, which was like, "Oh, Doctor, however will you save us?" She's not. No, again, Bonnie Langford, because of the fact that she's got that voice on her, and John Nathan Turner fucking utilized it, which was to like make her scream, so it's all great. That's the public perception, which is a shame. So the little bit that we see of her here, it was good. I just realized as well that when we get to Mel's rambling down the line, we're going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranking. So let's see if we're interesting to see where this one will place. Because of Eric Sauer's bitchy nature, I don't think she gets the best run here, but from what we see, Pip and Jane were able to give us something.
I agree. The thing that I find interesting about Mel, particularly when I realised this was the last of Colin's episodes, was we don't get her introduction.
No.
We have no idea how they met. We have no idea if they met on Earth, because she seems very space-worthy. She seems very comfortable. The same was true last week, but even this week, herself and Glitz get out of the thing. She's like, "Where are we? Edge, let's walk off this way and try and have a look at it." She accepts it all. She doesn't. There's no like, "Oh, what's that?" Which I'm hoping we don't get from her next season. I'm hoping that she gets to maintain this. But it's interesting because we don't have the beginning, but because this is Colin's last story. Again, I'm curious about the expanded media, because the Mel we see here is a Mel who's already had, I'm guessing, a year plus, based off of how humans get on with the Doctor, travelling with Colin's Doctor, including the story Terror of the Vervoids, before she disappeared from his timeline and came back, and now she's going to go up until, like, say, if Colin didn't regenerate, she was going to go up until a certain point when he would meet her anew. And that, like, it's a weird time loop that they're in. There's an interesting thing about time loops I'll talk about later on as well. I think in the story, I think she was massively underutilized in the first episode. I think she was left, not not so much the damsel in distress, but a little bit of the screaming Violet. You know, sort of like, but you have to help him. Blah blah blah. It was a bit of shit. But I love that she still did her own thing. You know, she still had ideas. She still had all the pluck and viv that we had from Terror of the Rare Voids, and she is a companion and a partner in the story, which I think is great. I weirdly enough, I love that they continue the fact that she's like, hey, so the last time I was with you wasn't this version of you, it was a future version of you. But now I'm going to tell this version of you, you have the same exercise regime. Which is just funny. I like the way as well that she got along. I mean, it's only for a few seconds, but I like how she got along with Glitz. That she sort of teamed up with him fairly easily and didn't have any issue and stuff like that. And at the end, when the doctor asks for leniency for Glitz, she doesn't challenge it. You know?
No.
She doesn't throw him under the bus or anything, which she easily could have. She's like, oh, but he tried it. Like, there's none of that. So I like that about her. And I think that she's actually more so than Perry. I think she's actually a really good she's a really good partner to Colin's doctor in particular. I think they do complement each other quite well. And I really liked their dynamic last week.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm gutted that we're not going to get more of it. I've seen a little bit of her with Sylvester from a future story, but that's about it. I don't remember it very well.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it's very interesting watching her in the current run of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain things that I was like, oh, how is she doing that? And why is she there? I'm like, oh yeah, no, it makes perfect sense now.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
And I think we can hear the sound of Trish boosting up Big Finish's website.
Oh, I've already given those people so much money. And there's so many Sarah Jane stuff pending. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Glitz himself. All glamour, no glamour.
I know, he's handsome enough in an ugly sort of way. Glitz, Space Del Boy is back. I really enjoyed seeing him back. I really enjoyed that he still has some bit of care for the Doctor, and the rapport is as good as it was back in the Mysterious Planet. I was kind of a bit back and forth as I was going, getting whiplash from are you a good guy, are you a bad guy, or whatever, and then I realized, oh wait, it's just from where you serve the trivia, it's just writers trying to fucking one up each other. Feels like watching the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, but anyway, no, it was really great to see, because you can tell that he regrets the situation that he's in, because he is by nature a bit of a coward. Oh my god, he's Professor Brown from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. No, he is a bit of a coward, but at the same time, he knows that what's going to be done to the Doctor isn't right, and that he wants to help him, but not at the cost of his own self-interest. But it's conflicted. It's interesting. I really loved when the Master tries to hypnotize him, and he's just so, how much is that thing worth? how much could I get for it? It's very, and the Master just kind of goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake," and pulls out a big chest of treasure, and he's the thing. Look, here, will you do it for this? I loved that scene so much, because it says everything you want about Glitz. Just that's all it does. I love as well that it speaks to his character that the Doctor is like, give him a fourth chance. Don't hold it against him. He is who he is, and he's not a bad guy. And he is one of the better recurring characters I think we've seen in a while, because he's just his cheeky rogue nature is one of the highlights of the story. I think that definitely comes across in the triple cross scene, where he pretends to have taken cold of Popplewick, but really it's a ruse because he did a deal with Popplewick. And then when he goes to leave, Popplewick prepares to shoot him, but Glitz reveals he took the bullets out of the gun. So like it's just that was really, really good. And I was like, that is amazing. And it was great to see Glitz without having Dibber because we loved that I loved that relationship. But seeing him without Dibber busting his balls the whole time, it was really, really good to see. So I remember that he's in one last story. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to go. But yeah, I think he was a really good addition to this story. And a part of me wonders what it would have been like if Bob had been well enough to finish the story.
Yeah. I think for me, Glitz is an interesting character because he just is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't make any crimes about it.
No.
You know. He was happy to give evidence, quote unquote, give evidence for the doctor because that's what the master told him to do. And you can tell he cares about the doctor, but like he wasn't willing to when he got dragged into the Matrix. He said, "What the fuck are we doing in here? Like, what? Why? Like, I don't want to fucking be here. Like, I don't want to actually help you like this much. Like, fuck off." And then like, when he never gets hit with the arrow and all that kind of stuff. But what's interesting is that on the beach, you know, he's calling up the doctor, where are you? And as soon as he sees that the doctor is actually in legit fucking danger, he fucking pegs it over to help him. There's no fucking qualms about it whatsoever. Which doesn't really line up then with what we hear about him later, but like it does in a way where it's like, I'm happy to offer you up because that's the requirement that's been set for me or whatever. But like, I'm not going to let you fucking lie there and drown either. You know? I think he's an interesting character. I do like him without Dibber. I think he's more fun on his own. I think he's a quintessential sort of 80s sci-fi quirky standalone character. But it works quite well. I think he works great with Colin. I think the two of them work really well together. I loved how he was with Anthony as well. Because again, as he gives you, he's like, but you said you wanted to, but actually, what am I doing? Oh, gold. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good, I'm fine. No, we're grand. We're good. Gold is good. Gold is good.
What's my motivation? Oh yeah, money.
Oh yeah, you just kept me cool. But yeah, but again, you sort of get the feeling that like if something was going to happen to the doctor that wasn't specifically in the agreement he had with the master, he's like, well, you didn't say not to save him from a journey witch. You didn't say not to save him from a burning building. You didn't say not to save him from X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You know, he'd have no issue doing it if he was able to. And if there was no other option. He's an interesting character though, in the sense that like, I was thinking about like, would I have liked him to become a companion proper? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think he really works as an ongoing companion. But I think as a sort of touch point, he works quite well. He sort of reminds me in a way, it's not the same, but he reminds me in a way of like the recurring characters we had on Deep Space Nine, like the Negas and stuff like that, who'd crop up once a season or something like that. Who you wouldn't want them around all the time.
Yeah.
But their episodes are fun when they're there.
It kind of reminds
me of Roxana Troy or someone, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of the character Autolycus from like the Hercules and Xena TV show. Like, you know, like he was the king of thieves and he would just like, plus I'm a massive Bruce Campbell fan anyway. But yeah, he just kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. We are going to see him again though, so it'll be interesting to compare. Does Glitz have an arc? You know? Should we be ranking our top 3 or like our 3, 2, 1 for Glitz's episode?
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
If we did
But
if we did that for him, we'd have to do it for Benton. We'd have to do it for the Brig. We
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
However, would we go on?
yeah. Fucking terrible. Terrible fucking guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think for our companions as a whole, I think it's a bit shit on both of them that like
Mhm.
you had that writing decision in between, and so neither one of them really got the full effect of what they were going to be. But the bits that we got from both of them, I think, were very good.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I would have, I mean, if it was a 4-parter and both of them got to have 2 episodes of, being with the Doctor, I think it probably would have been better. But yeah, no, I think Duke's worked out quite well in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, on to our prominent character of the Inquisitor. The last time we were talking about the Spock woman. So maybe let's give away some of my thoughts there. Paddy, what were your thoughts on the Inquisitor this time around?
You are quite possibly the worst judge character in the history of this show. We've seen incompetent judges. We've seen obstinate judges like the Megara from Stones of Blood, who are just judicial to the bone. But you bring it to a whole new level of stupidity, because multiple times you were shown something you're shown oh, this is the proof that this evidence is tampered, or you're given multiple opportunities to call a mistrial, and you're like, no, we've got to keep going because that's what it says in the rule book. And it's that is, it's so dumb. Like the whole thing of, well, we've got to go save. First of all, refusing to call off the trial, even though the Doctor had said it, that you can't have the defendant and the accuser be the same person. And then when Mel tries to get them to go in, the Inquisitor's going, oh, or I can't remember what the thing was, but the Inquisitor was basically saying, well, that's not what the trial is about. It's like, fuck the trial. You have Public Enemy number 1 and 2, and apparently a facet of Public Enemy number 1. All here in a fucking triple threat match, and your whole thing is no, we've got to adhere to this rigid system, and then there was the really I'll just say it now, poorly executed side plot of the council's been overthrown. That's you did nothing with that information. You are, God, you're awful. You're an awful character. And the thing is there was so much promise, because I think in Mysterious Planet and a bit of Mind Warp, she was strong-ish, an interesting one, because you're kind of going, oh, well, she's, she seems to actually be the impartial, let's call this straight down the middle character. But then with Terror of the Vervoids, it's just wash, rinse, repeat. And yeah, it's very evident that Pip and Jane did not like writing those scenes, because they just didn't know really what to do with it. And again, as I said about the Doctor, it's not a compliment when he says that you should be the Lord President after his big fucking rant and everything that you did during this trial. So, yeah. Also, the logic of, the charges against the Doctor are dropped. Why? According to your rationale, there has been no proof against the claim. So, what? Okay, number one, you had the charge of, he's interfering and he's doing all this blah 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 blah. But then charge 2, which superseded that, was the charge of genocide. That's still technically on the table, because even you and I, as we're supporting the Doctor in this, going, he did technically commit a genocide. So, where's the fucking line here? This character, I think, perfectly kind of exemplified the nature of this story, which was just that, no, just wrap it up really quickly. So yeah, not a fan.
As it probably comes as a surprise to no one, neither was I. As I think this character is a waste of paper. She doesn't add any value to the story. She's there to fill time. I would have rather had the extra 8 minutes of the Master and Blitz than any of the fucking courtroom stuff, particularly anything with her. I agree with you. Her logic makes no sense, and it shows that the writing was just fucking lazy. Oh, the accuser and the accused are apparently the same person. That doesn't matter because that information came from the Master and he's an unreliable narrator. Then investigate it, you fucking dumb bitch. Like, what the hell? Like, you're meant to be the overseer of this courtroom. And you're a fucking moron. And I think she was meant to be presented as someone who is fixated on bureaucracy. And this is the process and blah, 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 blah. But that's not the way they wrote her. Do you know what I mean? And I'll get into more of my overall, but like, she's just a moron. That's all she is. And I think I had one bit in Mind Warp where she sort of called the Doctor on his fucking name calling, whatever. I was like, fucking pay attention. That was it. That was the best bit of fucking dialogue we got from her in this entire fucking stretch. And in these 2 episodes, I was like, cool, because when Mel's like, oh, you have to get out because they're going to blow up the thing, they look like they're going to get up, but then they haven't actually moved. And the screen blows up, and I was like, oh, please tell me she's fucking dead. Please tell me she's dead. And she wasn't. I was fucking disappointed. Yeah, I think she is one of the biggest wastes of paper in this whole season. And yeah, I'm glad we never see her again.
Yep.
No offense to the actress.
Yep.
I've seen that actress in other things, and she's usually quite good. She was a bit fucking shit in this though. Like, in general, her performance across the board was a bit shit. And I've seen her in other things where she was really, really good. So I don't know what it was. I mean, I blame the writing, personally.
Yeah.
But then we have our villains. So do you want to do the Valeyard first, or do you want to do the Master first?
We'll do the Master first. So, I knew this was coming. But even still, when I saw him appear on the screen, I just went, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry. I know that a lot of people will disagree with me, but I am getting pretty sick of Anthony's Master at this stage. Because it is vastly different to Roger's Master. And the thing was that, like, my issue is kind of a weird one, because he keeps popping up, and I feel like that we don't get enough breathing room with him, which is odd because with Roger's, in fact, like, there was an entire season where Roger was the fucking one of the villains each story, like 5 successive stories. The Master is involved, but I didn't have a problem with that, and I think it's down to the fact, or maybe like it's down to 2 facts. One, I think obviously the writing that particular season was incredibly strong. The second thing is Roger played it, yes, as a sort of a Bond villain, but there's a charisma to his portrayal that I think Anthony is unfortunately lacking for my taste. I think Anthony is a bit too panto. I would like in certain times that is perfectly fine. See the 5 Doctors. I think he's great in that because he really hams up the panto thing. Like, my fondest memory of him is when the lightning bolts are hitting the ground and he gathers the cape and he does that big fucking, like, oh fuck, and runs off legs first into the distance. Like, I love that bit. But every time he appears on screen, when he's not appearing in a random costume for whatever fucking reason, every time that he's not on, like every time he appears on screen, I'm like, stop chewing the scenery, please. It is really taking me out of the story. And it's kind of the same here. Because having him appear on the big screen and dropping the bombshell of the Valiant as the doctor, you know, like my sister, my daughter, my sister, that whole thing, it's like, it's fine. But once he gets into the Matrix, it's like, it's the same fucking thing over and over and over again. I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. No, you're actually a colossal dumbass because you don't check anything. Like, you know that the Valiant is incredibly smart, and you know that the Valiant has everything you fear about the Doctor. So why do you think he's actually going to fall for that stupid trick? Like that. And then as well, okay, they know you're in the Matrix, but you don't have access to the Matrix. What makes you think that you've got the upper hand when you've told the Valiant that you want to kill him, and the Valiant is in control of the Matrix? So again, where is this misplaced confidence coming from? So like, and yeah, no, and the whole thing as well is like going, well, I'm going to use the Doctor to try and kill the Valiant, but I also want to kill the Doctor. So you're acting against your own self-interest because you have Glitz trying to lead the Doctor into a fuck over situation, and it's just like, I know. Then he says like, oh no, lead the Doctor to the Valiant. It's just, I don't know what it is, but they've really kind of ruined the Master in the sense of, okay, we've always kind of known that the Doctor is a bit smarter than the Master. The only thing he lacks is the Master's ruthlessness. But now it's the Master's whole thing. Oh, I can take him anytime that I've ever wanted to. When, historically speaking, you have never been able to accomplish that. Ever. So, I don't know. And I was watching it, I was kind of going, he did not need to be here. He really didn't. You could have had some other thing do the reveal for the Valiant. Absolutely some other thing. But I don't know. And I know that a lot of people they're going to disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. Absolutely perfectly fine. But for me, I am not enjoying Anthony's Master anymore.
My issue with the Master in this is I didn't see the fucking point. As usual with the Master, his plan makes no fucking sense. He doesn't want the Valiant to win because the Valiant would take the Doctor's remaining lives. Okay. But why go about it this way? Like, the plan is just shit. And the fact that he's like, oh, don't kill the Doctor. I don't want the Doctor to die before he can kill the Valiant. Well, if you can take out the Doctor anytime you want, why can't you take out the Valiant anytime you fucking want? Oh, wait, because you fucking can't. Also, why use Glitz of all fucking people? And like, the way it's told is that this goes back to the mysterious planet that the Master had hired Glitz back then to get the fucking data and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, it's just such a stupid plan. And the fact that he's on the camera screen the whole time, so he's in the Matrix, but he's not in the Matrix, but he is in the Matrix. I'm like, how the fuck did he get in there? Nobody knows. He had a key made ages ago. Okay. When he was like a creepy half-burned corpse thing. Like, when was this? And I think the issue that I have, because I actually quite like Anthony. I think he's a good actor. I think he is a bit more panto than we're used to with the Master, but I think it works with Anthony as the actor. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm going back to what I said about the Inquisitor. Terrible writing and a waste of paper. I would have rather it be that he was helping out the Doctor because he is from the future, far flung in the future, and he knows an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you and I will have our day, but that day isn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to do these fucking things because otherwise I'll never be able to do what I need to do. Do you know what I mean? Like if there was some sort of, I think the thing is that other than getting rid of the Valier, there's no like personal stake for the Master. Everything for the Master is personal. So yeah,
Well, I suppose
it
there
was
is
good.
there is the revelation like that. Well, the Time Lords, like the High Council, is corrupt, which then leads to the insurrection, which I'll talk about then. The
It
overall
happens off screen and is
yeah.
irrelevant.
So like yeah, like, okay, I get that aspect of it, but if you've successfully overthrown the High Council, which was like so, the deal with the Valier and the High Council was that the Valier takes care of the Doctor, and then the Valier will get the remaining regenerations. But if you've deposed the High Council already, you can go and kill the Doctor. You don't need to eliminate the Valier, because if you kill the Doctor, then then 6 is dead, and all possible futures. Like I know that time is really explained badly, but if you killed 6, nothing comes to fruition. So yeah, time travel shows can be really frustrating. But the Valiant himself, though, or are you going to say something else?
No, I was going to ask you about the Valier.
All right, okay. So the Valiant, I don't know. Like so the finished product is very different than what was intended, because it's like, as we said earlier, like it was meant to be that he was the actual last incarnation, whereas now it's like this like weird gestalt, like ego or psyche made manifest. Like, does that make it better or worse? Honestly, I can't say, because like it's an interesting idea, but I think they cocked it up. Because when I think of something like that, I think of the original series Star Trek episode where, Kirk comes out of the transporter and his good side and his evil side are split, and it's like, Jesus, even Earthworm Jim did an episode of it, and the future was done better. But and like it's even been like the weird evil kind of like persona aspects of the Doctor, like it will come again. Spoiler, it'll come again down the line, and I think it's handled better, because like the real thing that kills this, and it's not Michael Jason's fault. I will say that it is not his fault at all, because Michael Jason is a great actor, but you can only turn out a performance depending on the quality of the writing, but also the continual bitching back and forth between John Nathan Turner and Eric Soward, and you have like Pip and Jane Baker caught in the middle of it, and then you have like that this is technically Bob Holmes's swan song of a legacy, and it's really, really frustrating, because like I don't there's multiple aspects of the Valiant I don't get. Like the whole thing of like, is he this manifestation of all his negative, darker aspects, or is he actually a physical version of the Doctor that is like just gone meh? And then it's like when he's inside the dreamscape, it's like, oh, what is the point of Popowick? Like, your plan to defeat the Doctor is to wear him down with bureaucracy and red tape. You're the lord of all you survey inside that thing. inside your like weird version of the Matrix, and that's how you intend to beat the like. There are times where Doctor Who villains are really really stupid, and I think it's mainly when Doctor Who Time Lord villains are involved are pretty stupid, because you do not need to get into like a if your whole purpose is to beat the Doctor and kill him, you don't need to get into a dick swinging contest with him, because that's where it's like you just lose the run of yourself. And also I don't know what the hell what the ending was. Like, clearly it's one of those things of, oh, let's put this in, but we can't agree upon the execution of the idea, but we've already committed to doing it, so let's just have him there with no real explanation as to, like, is it like the end of The Shining? Like, was he always the keeper, or how does everyone not recognize him? Is it some weird? It's a shock factor ending that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of the Valiard, but it's just handled really, really poorly.
Yeah, I would agree. Look, in terms of concept, the core concept of the Valiard is very strong. You've got the darkest parts of the Doctor forged together into this one entity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of potential in that. You know, you could have it be the sort of split, like the Kirk, good and bad Kirk split. Or you could have it be that over time, generation after regeneration after regeneration after regeneration, all that's left is the worst parts of him, for a variety of reasons. And that he thinks that the root cause of that is what he did in his youth, going around fucking interfering in other people's business and whatever. He's a Joe, I want to do over because what that fucker did was fucking stupid. I want his lives to do it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what they did. And the Valiard is not a representation of the darker parts of the Doctor that we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not.
No.
Like, those two characters have very little in common. Okay, he can throw out a quippy one-liner, but he's a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, where's the intelligence? I mean, that's the thing about the Doctor, and like we see it in a couple of stories. The Doctor is conniving.
Mm-hmm.
He's very fucking smart, and he can be fucking vindictive. Go all the way back to the first Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? He's a trickster. The Master is, in many ways, the foil of the Doctor, because he is the personification of all these things. So to have the Valiard in that role, written in this way, I'm like, okay, was the Valiard Bob's creation? Because Bob, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've written this character more than anybody else. What are you doing? And if it was a case of JNT and Eric Soward, lads, do you even know the show you're fucking making? Because this is not the personification of all the bad things of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The personification of all the bad things of the Doctor is skulking, hides in corners, is like more of a little finger than anything we're seeing here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also the fact that like his plan makes zero fucking sense. And this is partly to do with the story as a whole, but like it obviously ties directly to the Valiard. His plan is to put the Doctor on trial, fabricate evidence to ensure the Doctor is found guilty. So the High Council will put the Doctor to death, but he's done a deal with them that he gets to keep all the Doctor's future regenerations. But he is a future regeneration of the Doctor, or a future version in some way of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take away the regenerations, how the fuck do you exist?
There would probably be some weird explanation to do with the Eye of Harmony and how it would probably take the potential stored regeneration energy of the Doctor and transform it into new.
Yeah, whatever. It just the plan makes no sense. If you want it to be that this is just a vindictive asshole who thinks the Doctor has done, who genuinely or not genuinely thinks the Doctor has done damage to the universe, fine. If it's the final regeneration of the Doctor who's looking back on his life and going, my life is shit and it's their fucking fault. Particularly this one. This one did it the fucking worst. This one was the point of no return and he fucked up and fuck him. I want all the lives that come after. Fine. But that's not what they're doing.
No,
like why put him on trial? Why put him on trial? Just kidnap him, which you already fucking did, and kill him.
Like, there's the way that you kind of said it there, it kind of reminds me of He Who Remains, in Kang the Conqueror. And so from the MCU, it's like this, because like at the end of what was it, Quantumania, like you have Immortus and Ramatut and the Scarlet Centurion, and like these are all various different Kangs, and sometimes they exist in the same time frame. They're just like further down the line of each other, and it's like going, no, I've got to go back and stop him because that's when everything goes to shit. So you could have had this thing of like, the Valiant just being the final incarnation of the Doctor, kind of going, I want to stop you because we lead to my life being miserable, and I don't care if I die in it so long as you die. There's a better way of doing it, but we could probably talk a little bit before we get into the overall, but this is another victim of backstage politicking.
Yeah. I agree. And like even something as simple as, what is the Valiant's power?
Mm-hmm.
Because he seems to be a mastermind of manipulating the Time Lord High Council, who, by the way, how the fuck do they not know that he's not a real person?
I don't know.
How did he become a prosecutor for the High Council when he doesn't fucking exist? Like, how do they not know that he is a future version? Like, they know that, or do they know? That makes no sense.
I don't, like, maybe they do know he's the Doctor, like the Valiant is the Doctor. They give him an alter ego, and he'll go, look, I'll go back and if you allow me to put my previous self on trial, I'll save you centuries of headaches by doing this. But I can only I get to start over.
At this time in Time Lord society, though, they're not the Doctor's biggest fan. They don't fucking hate him, like.
No.
Like, yeah, he fucked off and didn't do his president job.
Yeah.
But like, I don't remember their last thing being him running for the fucking hills with fucking guys shooting at him or anything.
No.
They tolerate him, which is fine. Like, so he's got that side, but then he becomes this omnipotent god inside in the Matrix, who chooses to, like you said, create public. Like, did you just really like Charles Dickens? Like, why and what's the point? Like, you could have driven the Doctor insane.
Mm-hmm.
You could have created whatever illusion you wanted, brought up his worst memories, brought up Sarah Kingdom and Brett and fucking Katarina dying.
Yeah.
Bring up, Harry and Sarah Jane being tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Bring up Adric's death. Bring up Romana going off on her own. You could have brought up all these horrible memories to drive him insane.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, you took Hyacinth Bouquet's brother-in-law, and made him a really annoying bureaucrat.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then also, he can be defeated by Glitz and the Master as well. I was like, what are you? Like, you're not a thing. And I don't know if the Valor does come back after this story. I know a lot of people, like, particularly in Tennant's run, when he was doing like the oncoming storm or whatever, I remember a lot of people at the time being like, oh, we're going to get the Valiant, or we're going to get the Valiant. And I didn't know who the Valiant was.
No.
But like, people really wanted the Valiant to come back. I'm like, after this? This is who you want back?
There's an episode in Matt Smith's season which a lot of people again thought he had come back into it. And I think the main thing I liked about that episode is that it stars the fantastic Toby Jones in it. And I was like, oh, like, you and I liked the psychological stuff. I can't wait to discuss that with you because we like that. And Toby Jones is fucking awesome. So, yeah.
But yeah, so like, I think like we'll get into it more in our overall, I'd say. But like for me, the Valyard, has this been the culmination of the Valyard character? Who, I mean, spoiler warning, if this is the first episode of this you've listened to, in which case, odd choice.
Yeah.
We haven't been his biggest fan.
No.
As an antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
He's just really shit. And the fact that so much of this season was given over to this trial that was building up to this, I'm like, and this is who he is?
Mm.
Okay. I mean, I did have an interesting twist on the character the other day when I was thinking about this, which is what would have been really interesting if the Valyard was, I don't know, say Susan. Or an old, like one of the earlier Gallifrey, like the meddling monk.
Yeah.
But particularly if the Valyard was a future regeneration of Susan,
mm-hmm.
who was like, you fucked up my life, dickhead. And I wanted out with you. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that would have been more interesting. It being the meddling monk. Do you know?
Yeah.
You know, getting into the Matrix, manipulating the Doctor's memories after all that they went through. I'm like, that would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If it was actually a dark version of the Doctor, so it would have been cool and calm and collected, not rising to all of this fucking rail yard, knackers yard, whatever shite. That would have been interesting. He's just not that interesting.
Sorry, Michael. We do like you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, God. So, we're here. The end. Finally. So, the overall section is where Trish and I each give our score out of 5 for the story, but also as well we're going to give a score of 5 for the season as a whole, the whole Trial of a Time Lord. Now, as I did the intro and as I did the socials, I get to go first. So
you do indeed.
I do. By the end of the story, I was like that gif of Krusty the Clown after watching like the Worker and Parasite cartoon with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth going, what the hell was that? Because this ending was just, what the hell was going on? Like, I think it's very regrettable. And like I say this in like kind of like the most fucking boo-hoo sort of way, privileged type of way. It's like, I think it's regrettable that Bob died before he got a chance to finish the story, and that he has to have his name attached to something that really doesn't go with what his vision was. Because for all intents and purposes, if his draft had gone to screen, it would have been much more interesting and definitely in line more with the type of thing that Colin had always wanted to do. And that's because the story starts off well, but it takes a hard left turn to what the fuck is going on. Because the side plot with the insurrection on Gallifrey, it comes out of nowhere. I don't think the seeds are layered throughout the entire trial. And it's just, insurrection. Like, wait, are the people watching the trial? Like, well, why aren't we getting... Like, there was a thing of, like, where this episode overran by 8 minutes, you said. And they had to caution. I was going, like, was that where the explanation as to where this insurrection came out of, or where this, like, support for the Doctor had come from, or it was lacking. And it's like, I don't know whether it was because like you cut the running order down by 2 episodes, which maybe that should have explained that. Or if he knew that the thing was going to be cut, the running order was going to be cut down, then just drop that particular aspect of the story because it's stupid and it ends up making no sense. the ending with the Master and Glitz is very rushed. And as I said, like, I'm glad that Glitz, lives to swindle again. Um, but I hope that the Master stays away for a very long time. He says, knowing that that won't be the case. and, and as I said, the ending with the Valiard being the keeper in that weird sort of Michael Jackson thriller, Vincent Price laugh type way is just very confusing. Like, the real highlights of this story are Colin as the Doctor himself, Mel and Glitz. They're the best things in the story. But that's not enough to redeem the story for all of its faults. And as much as I love Colin as a Doctor, and as much as I love Mel as from what I've seen, the two stories that we've seen so far, and Glitz has been a great recurring companion. It's not enough to cover it, which is a big shame because, as we said earlier on, this is Colin's last official story as the Doctor. So it could kind of goes out like a wet fart. It's not great. So yeah, it's like, I'm a wordsmith, don't you know? That being said, yeah, I'm going with a 1.5. I think they had, and I think that is also very reflective of my thoughts of the series as a whole, because the concept, like, I know that you and I have kind of different on our opinion for it, but the concept of it, it sounded so good. Like, we're going to take a look back at your previous adventures. Maybe it would have been interesting to show clip shows of all the other stuff he'd done in his previous incarnations. It's not like they have rights issues with the fucking show, you know? Like, it would have been cool to have that side of things, because like the idea of it is really, really good. And like, we had some really good stuff there, which I can't wait to talk about in our Perry rambling, in terms of like her ending and that bittersweet, is it good, is it bad, how do you like it as a fan type thing. It has good moments, but it also has a lot of meandering nonsense, wasted potential, wasted characters. The fucking Inquisitor just being like, I think a hammer.
There.
Yeah, a hammer would have had a better thing of it. So the good doesn't outweigh the bad, but nor does the bad outweigh the good. So I think I'm going to go straight down the middle with it. I'm going to go with like a 2.5 for the series as a whole.
Okay, for context for those listening, Paddy's average, including the 1.5 from this story, so your average just based on what you gave the previous stories will be a 2.94.
Right.
So you think as a whole it's a little bit below?
Yeah, below the average. The average.
Okay.
Yep.
So for me, I really struggled to follow these two episodes. And I would like to think I'm not an idiot. I had no idea what the fuck they were banging on about. Because we have the Master with his fucking weird plan of protect the Doctor because only I can kill the Doctor and I don't like the Valiard because reasons. I'm going to bring Mel, who this Doctor doesn't know, and Glitz, who's working on a separate mission for me. I'm going to bring them to bear witness. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is he here? Why is he here? Like, if the Valiard was an alternate persona of the Master, maybe, you know. But like, why is he here? And then we have the issue of people creating a character, Mel, and then other people not really wanting to use that character.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to bring Glitz into this. And Mel is the companion.
Yeah.
And for the entire first episode, she did fuck all. Because the Doctor says, come along, Glitz. Why fucking come along, Glitz? Like, I know ye ended fairly amicably, but ye did not have the best first outing.
No.
Like, why is it coming along, Blitz? That makes no sense.
Like,
the plot makes no sense. The whole thing inside the Matrix makes no sense. The whole thing with the key master in general, or key bearer, or key man, whatever the fuck his name is.
keeper.
The keeper. That's the one. Like, he says, I have the only key to the Matrix. Oh, look. He's in the Matrix. Oh, there's one of the other 50 bazillion doors. Like, so you don't have the only key, is what you're telling me. Anyone can just swan in, because the master's already in there, and then the Valyard made it his personal domain where he can manipulate whatever he wants. But the Doctor can't manipulate anything. So what the fuck is the point of the Matrix? Like, I thought the Matrix was meant to be a repository of knowledge. Why is it like someone's fucking personal playground with Hyacinth Bouquet's brother-in-law? I don't get it. I think as a final story for Colin, I think it was a massive kick in the teeth. And I disagree with you on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel bad that this is Bob's name on it.
Okay.
Because to be perfectly frank,
Mm-hmm.
the quality of Bob's work had declined year on year.
Fair.
And given the fact that Bob was involved earlier in the season,
Mm-hmm.
so he knew about the whole trial framework,
Mm-hmm.
and the trial parts of the earlier episodes were also shit. I don't think anything could have saved this. Even if Bob had gone back to the Bob of old, the Philip Hinchcliffe Bob. If he got back to be Bob of old, I don't think there was any saving this, because it was either A, too short, why the fuck is it only 2 episodes? Or B, too cluttered. Again, I agree with you. What the fuck is the insurrection about? Why are they insurrecting over? They're killing off the High Council. Why? Like, has Leela had enough of everyone's shit? Like, where the fuck is Leela? Where is Leela? You know, it's like, there's so much of it that irritates me, and actually the more I think about it, the more mad I get. Because originally, I was thinking of a 1.5. And now I've had my little rant, and we've discussed the Valyard, and I've dropped it down to a 1.
Oh.
To be honest, like, just no. So if I give this a 1, that brings my average to 2.44 for this season as a whole. If we're to take all the scores I gave the previous episodes, that brings this average to 2.44. Which I think, if you're to watch the trial of a Time Lord, I think even 2.44 is being generous. I think the trial component of this is horrendous. I would say watch Mysterious Planet, watch Mind Warp, watch Terror of the Vervoids, but watch them as episodes. And just fucking fast forward through the trial pieces, because they add nothing and they lead to nowhere. The only good thing is at the end of Ultimate Foe, depending on how you feel about Perry, whether you want her to have a happy ending or you want her to be dead, watch that little reveal at the end.
Yeah.
And that just depends on your mood and what you want from that character. But I would say, don't watch this for the trial, because the trial is fucking shit. I hated it at the beginning. I fucking hated it. And if you want to watch good Colin episodes, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more in Zombie, watch the episodes individually. There's amazing stuff in all of them individually. And just fucking fast forward through the trial bit. Or I'm sure someone somewhere has done a supercut that has done that for you. Probably. So yeah, not quite the ending to the season that we would have wanted. You know, I will say that Colin's closer last season didn't score very highly either. It got a 2. But this does mean that this season overall ranks lower than last season, which I think you and I would both agree outright that this season would rank lower.
Yeah. Yeah, because like we'll get into it in the rambling, like, but like there's some really good stories in Colin's first season.
There really is. There really is. And even the twin dilemma, which is his very first episode, we still ranked it higher or on par with, as in we ranked it higher than this season as a whole, and we ranked it on par with some of our favorite episodes from this season. So yeah, go watch that instead.
Yeah. Now, the one question I will ask is, at this stage of the game, has Eric Soward entered into "fuck you, John Wilde's" territory?
Kind of. I think it's just John Nathan Turner, to be honest.
Well, I'd say both of them, because like Eric, know, Eric's treatment of like kind of Bonnie, for whatever reason, like going, nah, that.
The whole thing is like, they come across as two people who don't enjoy their fucking job, and they have one of the best jobs in the world.
Yep.
I'm like, you're the ones who get to make the decision. If you didn't like the character of Mel, don't create the fucking character of Mel. If you want it to be funny, make it fucking funny. Like, why are you getting mad at decisions you made? That makes no sense. What I will say though is the behind the sofa for this season is actually quite good. Because Peter Davis isn't in it.
Nice.
So we have Colin with Bonnie and Nicola, which is nice. And then we have, interestingly, Fraser Hines.
Yeah.
And then I've forgotten their names. I had them literally in my head.
Wendy Patrick.
Adric and Turlough.
Oh, Mark Strickson and Matthew Waterhouse.
Yeah. And those two groups are actually very interesting watching this. So you've got like Colin and the two ladies obviously reminiscing and whatever. And you've the three lads trying to follow what the fuck is going on.
I do what?
And they come from quite different, like,
yeah.
I know that Turlough and Adric kind of come from the same, but they don't, because Adric was really more of a Fourth Doctor addition to the show. So you have Fraser coming from all the way back, way back when. And then you've got Matthew, who's more of a Doctor Who fan than the other two. And then you've got Mark, who is a bit Turlough. Not gonna lie, he's a bit Turlough, but it is very interesting to watch. It's much better than some of the previous.
Yeah, no, as much as I love Colin and the two ladies, I think I'd probably just watch the three lads.
Well, you don't get to pick. It bounces back and forth.
I know, yeah.
So.
But it just did. Wait, it sounds like three lads in a pub trying to follow Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah, because at one point, actually, when they were reviewing the Ultimate Foe, they got so confused. They were like, "What the fuck is happening?" So yeah, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
And you could maybe watch the trial that way.
Yes.
Which is watching other people react to the trial being shut.
But that is it for the trial for us. However, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. We do. Perry's rambling. And then we have the Six Doctors rambling. And then as well, if we have time, we'll have our end of year episode. Which may be a start of year episode. Maybe. Depending on how editing goes. Yes, exactly. And you get to hear our thoughts on the most recent season's finale. Spoiler. Yay. But no, we love the show dearly. We really do. We really do. However, what you will get to hear, and I think we should put this on record, what you will get to hear in our end of year / start of year is what's airing on Sunday. What is airing on Sunday? Kate Stewart. Oh, the War Between the Land and the Sea. Yeah. Nice. It's on Sunday. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll probably end up talking a bit about that. Yep. Excellent. And gargoyles. Yeah, and gargoyles. Absolutely. Tune into that episode for why the fuck are they talking about gargoyles. Until then, guys. Bye. Bye-bye.